Last time on Weight of Her Worth, AJ Sinclair has spent years making herself smaller to keep her family comfortable. But when she was asked to stand beside the sister who betrayed her, she decided she was done disappearing. While everyone around her believed she was quietly accepting what had happened, AJ was building something new, a new life, a new love, and a plan of her own. Then one trip changed everything. A confession, a familiar face watching from the shadows, and 47 screenshots that revealed AJ's heartbreak had never been an accident. The betrayal went deeper than she had ever imagined. So if you haven't listened to parts 1 through 3, go back and start there because every smile, every secret, and every quiet warning has led to this moment. AJ Sinclair now knows the truth. And this time, she isn't protecting anybody. This is part 4 in the finale of Weight of Her Worth. Chapter 1, The Reform Table. 3 weeks after the wedding, Vivian Sinclair called Lena at her firm. She picked up on the second ring. Hi, Mama. Lena. Yes, ma'am? Baby, listen to me. Sunday dinner is this week. Just give us a minute. You and Andre need to take this one off. We'll do something with you next week. Just me and your father. You hear me? There was a long pause on Lena's end. Mama, why? Because your sister is coming home for the first time in a year and a half. And I'm going to put a plate down in front of her without you across the table from her. That's why. Mama, Lena, I love you. I will love you for the rest of your life. I am also your mother, and I have made some decisions about this family. I will tell you which ones I made when you asked me to. But right now, I'm asking you to give us this Sunday. Will you do that for me? Lena did not speak for a moment. Yes, Mama. Thank you, baby. I'll call you Wednesday next week. Bye now. She hung up. She put the phone down on the kitchen counter and braced both hands against the marble for a moment, and then she went back to the greens. That Sunday, the table at the Sinclair house held 13 people. Marcus Sr. at the head, Vivian at the other end, Granny Ida next to her son, wearing her good earrings, Marcus Jr., Simone, Jay, and Trey, Devin, Keita, and Imani in a high chair. Jasmine, sunglasses pushed up on the top of her head for the first time in 15 months, and Charlie in AJ's lap, because Charlie had decided that she belonged in AJ's lap, even at 8 years old, even on a chair big enough for 2 of her. And Darius, because Vivian had called him personally on Friday morning and said, "Get over here Sunday. The family is starting over." The food was on the table. The piano was warm in the living room. Granny Ida had on lipstick. Marcus Sr. stood up. He looked at his family for a long moment. His eyes settled briefly on AJ, and then he held out both hands. Father God, we thank you for this table. We thank you for the chairs that are filled, and we thank you especially for the ones we have not filled today, because every house needs a Sabbath. We thank you for the daughter who came home, and we thank you for the son who became a man. We thank you for the babies who are coming, and the ones we can see, and the ones that we cannot. We thank you for the friends who are family. He squeezed Darius's hand. And we thank you, Lord, for showing us all who's who. Cover us in Jesus' name. Amen, the table said. Amen, Granny Ida said louder and added, Lord, you took your sweet time. Vivian laughed. The whole table laughed. It was the first time AJ had heard her mother laugh that way in 19 months. And she put her face into the top of Charlie's hair for a second so that nobody would see. 3 days later, Lena showed up at AJ's door with Andre in the car. She rang the buzzer. AJ went to the intercom. Who is it? AJ, it's me. Who's with you? Andre's in the car. And why is Andre in the car? Because we'd like to talk to you. We'd like to have a conversation about Charlie. AJ closed her eyes for a moment. All right, come up. Alone. AJ, alone, Lena. She buzzed her up. She didn't unlock the door. She waited for Lena to knock. Lena knocked, and AJ opened the door. Lena was in tailored slacks and a cream blazer and full makeup, but her eyes were already wet at the rim. She was holding a wedding favor box she did not know what to do with. Have a seat. Lena sat at the bar. Speak. AJ, Andre and I have been talking, and we want, we'd like for Charlie to come live with us now. We have a beautiful house, a guest bedroom, a backyard, a school we've already looked into, and she'd have her own. Charlie was, in fact, standing in the doorway of the kitchen in pink pajamas. She had come out of her bedroom because she heard her mother's voice and walked on bare feet into the kitchen with a stuffed elephant under one arm and the question already on her face. AJ turned to her. Baby, this is your call. Do you want to go live with your mom and Andre? Charlie looked at her mother. Charlie looked at AJ. Charlie looked back at her mother. And Charlie said, very quietly and very clearly, no, Mommy. I want to stay with Mama J. You can visit me here. Lena's face cracked. She didn't speak. She nodded. She picked up the wedding favor box. She walked to the door. She turned the threshold. Charlie, baby, I love you. I love you too, Mommy. Lena left. AJ closed the door behind her very gently. She turned and she picked Charlie up. Charlie was 8 years old and 68 pounds. But she picked her up and carried her to the couch and sat down with her in her lap. AJ didn't cry. Neither did Charlie. After a long time, Charlie said into AJ's shoulder, Are you sad that I said that? No, baby. Are you sure? I'm sure. Mama J. Mm-hmm. Are you going to be okay? AJ kissed the top of her niece's head. Yes, sweetheart. I'm going to be okay. Chapter 2. The Coffee Shop. She handled Kat the following Saturday. She chose the coffee shop on purpose. It was the place she and Kat had been meeting for 3 years. Same back corner, same window, same espresso machine that hissed every time somebody ordered a flat white. AJ had been there at noon every other Saturday since she was 36. She wanted Kat to walk into the place she'd been hunting in. She wanted the ground to be familiar, so the floor falling out would feel exactly as far as it was. She got there 15 minutes early. She got a black coffee. She sat at the back. She had her phone face up on the table with the screenshot thread already open. Kat came in at 12:03. She was wearing white linen and a small, careful smile. She did not know, yet, what was about to happen. She knew something was different, though. AJ had not returned a single text in 3 weeks. AJ had asked to meet later on with one sentence. Coffee, Saturday, noon, our spot. Hi, babe. Hello, Kat. Why don't you have a seat? Kat sat, She put her purse down and then she looked at AJ's coffee. You're not getting me one? No. The smile flickered, and then the smile arrived again, but slower. Okay. Are we okay? No. AJ, Kat, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to answer it carefully. I am not in the mood to be managed. I have been managed my whole life, and I will see right through your level of management. Do you understand? AJ, babe, you're scaring me a little. Do you understand me, Kat? Yes. AJ turned the phone around and she slid it across the table. Kat looked down. The screenshots were already open. The first one, dated 2.5 years ago. Babe, you have to meet my friend Andre. Kat's whole body changed. It was a settling, slow lowering, like a building deciding to come down floor by floor instead of all at once. Her shoulders dropped. Her face went pale. And that little practiced smile did not even try to come back. She didn't speak. AJ simply said, scroll. Kat scrolled. She scrolled for a long time. AJ watched her whole face. She didn't react, and she didn't ask how. She didn't ask when. She didn't even ask who. She just scrolled. And her face did the small work of a woman who had been caught and was deciding what was her next play. When she reached the bottom, she set the phone down. She didn't push it back. She just put both hands flat on the table. AJ? Why? AJ, listen to me. Why, Kat? That's the question. I'm going to tell you one more time. Don't manage me. Don't perform. Don't cry. Crying is manipulative. So just tell me why. Kat opened her mouth. She closed it. She opened it again. You won't understand. Try me. AJ, try me, Kat. I met Lena 3.5 years ago. We were both house hunting. Same realtor. We saw 2 properties back to back. We ended up at a wine bar on East 4th afterward. And we clicked right away. We were the same kind of woman. And what kind of woman is that? The kind that, the kind that performs. You know, the kind that is looked at as the prize. You know what I mean? We both worked at it. The hair, the makeup, the body, the wardrobe. We were both the smart one in our families. We both had a thing about being seen. We got drunk that night. We talked about a lot. By the end of the night, Lena was telling me about you. About me. What about me? About her older sister, the brilliant one, the one mama loved the most, the one daddy bragged about, the one who could walk into a room without trying and be the most interesting person in it, the one who the whole time we were growing up, she felt invisible next to. She said your name the way people say the name of a thing they're allergic to, not with hate, just exhaustion. She used to say things like, I've spent my whole life trying to be enough next to her. And you knew me. I had known you for 2 years. We had met at the mahogany thing in 21. We had drinks and we were already friends. I didn't tell Lena that at first. I just let her talk. I let her tell me about you. And when she was done telling me about you, Lord, AJ, I'm sorry. I felt something I hadn't expected to feel. I felt seen because I had been thinking the same things about you for 2 years and I had never said them out loud. And what was that? What things had you been thinking about me for 2 years? The pause was the giveaway. Whatever Kat said next was no longer the careful Kat. Her voice changed in register, pitch lower, more honest, less polished. Something she had been holding together for 3.5 years just let go, all at once. Her face went for the first time in years blank, naked. You don't know what it's like to be around you, AJ. Tell me, you walk into rooms like you own them. You always have. You don't apologize for the space that you take up. And you take up so much space, AJ, so much. You don't apologize for anything. You eat what you want. You order the dessert. You order the dessert in front of grown women who haven't ordered dessert since 2009, and you don't even look at us when you do it. You correct people when they're wrong. You laugh too long and loud. You wear bright colors. You wear off the shoulder. And you don't even flinch when somebody looks at you the way they look at women who look like you. It is unbearable, AJ. You are unbearable. It is like watching a woman who has been allowed to read a book the rest of us were never let inside of. You sit at tables that aren't supposed to have a chair for you, and you are fed. You are fed there. You have a man on his knees with peonies in February. You have a family that adores you. You have a niece who calls you mama. You have a grandmother who is feared on 3 continents and worships the ground you waddle on. And you should not have those things. You, you're a big girl. You're fat, you're 40, and you should be the funny, quirky friend. You should be the smart friend. You should be the one who cooks at the wedding while the rest of us get married. And you're not. You're running things. You're about to make partner. You're about to. She stopped. She didn't stop in time. She had said it. The mask was on the table between them. She picked it up. She tried, briefly, to put it back on. AJ, I didn't. Keep going, Kat. AJ, keep going. She kept going. Fine. Full truth. I'm prettier than you. I'm thinner than you. I went to a better school than you. I have a smaller waist. I have a sharper jawline. I work just as hard as you do, and I don't have what you have. I have never had what you have, and I have hated you for it. Very quietly, for 3.5 years, for the simple crime of being a woman the world is not supposed to make room for. Who has the world make room for her anyway? The coffee shop hummed around them. And Lena, AJ said, Lena hated me for the same reason. No, Lena hated you because you were her sister and she could not measure up. I hated you because you were my friend and you didn't even know you were in a competition. That night at the wine bar, we drank 2 bottles of red, and by the end of it, we had a plan. Or rather, I had a plan. I didn't even say the whole plan out loud. Lena filled in the rest for herself. We were going to take something from you. That was the whole thing. We were going to take one thing and we'd see how you did when you didn't have everything. So you introduced her to Andre. I introduced her to Andre at the Mahogany Gala the next October, 2 years before you met him. They started sleeping together within a month. I told her I told her, don't tell AJ, let me work it. I told her when the time was right, I would introduce him to you. And I told her, let me sit and watch. Let me sit at her mother's table and watch. Why? Because watching was the point, AJ. Watching was the prize. Not Andre, not the man, the watching. I wanted to know what your face would look like when somebody finally took something from you. I wanted to know if you'd crack. And I wanted to know if the great Elena Sinclair was a real thing or if she was a performance, just like the rest of us. And classic Elena, you didn't crack. You you went quiet. You walked out of that living room and you went home and you ate a plate of food at your own kitchen island and you got up the next morning and you made partner anyway. You started keeping your files at work, started having Tuesday dinners with your mother. You started. You started loving a man none of us had ever met in secret on Tuesdays. We saw you withdraw and we thought we were winning. And the whole time, you were building a whole other life. I have never in my entire life wanted to break a woman the way I have wanted to break you in the last 2 years. And Brent? And Brent, Cat. Yes, you've been feeding him intel at work. Yes, for how long? Since the engagement. Why? Because I couldn't get to you through your family anymore because your family had closed up around you and you were fine. And I was watching you be fine and I needed to take something else. So I started feeding him things, the Sherwin-Williams numbers, your client list, the internal memos. I knew you'd sent them only to Marisol because Lena had told me you only sent client work to Marisol. Drafts you told me about, frameworks you'd mentioned at dinner. How'd you get the memos? A screenshot of your phone twice when you were in the bathroom at brunch? Last March. Cat, AJ. Why? Because I wanted to win once. Once. Just once. I wanted to know what it felt like to take something from you, to be the smart one, to be the dangerous one. I wanted to walk in a room for one day in my life and have people look at me the way they look at you when you don't even try. I have spent my entire life working at it. You spent your entire life being it. And I wanted to know what it would feel like to take one of those rooms away from you. Just one. Did it work? What? What? Did it work, Kat? The plan, the 3.5 years, the wine bar, the introduction to Andre, the screenshots you took off my phone at brunch, the intel you fed to Brent, the watching from my mother's table, the bridal showers, the bachelorette in Vegas. Did it work? Kat opened her mouth and closed it. I'm asking you a question, Katrina. 3.5 years of your one life. Did you win one? Did you take something? Did you walk into a single room and have anyone, I mean anyone, look at you the way you wanted to be looked at? Kat did not speak. Look at me, Kat. Look at me. I'm a partner. I have a man at home who cooked me dinner last night. I am raising my niece in a bedroom I painted the color of her best friend's bedroom because that's what she wanted and because I love her dearly. My family is closing back up around the people who actually belong at the table. My grandmother is going to live another decade and watch me have a wedding and a child and a life. And you have spent 3.5 years trying to take this from me. And here you are, across the table from me, with me knowing everything, and nothing of mine is yours. Nothing I have built is touched. Nothing. So I ask you again, did it work? Did it work, Cat? The cat face. The careful cat face, the prepared smile, the I love that for you face fell apart. But she didn't cry. She just went small. Her shoulders rolled inward. Her chin dropped. Her hands, which had been resting on the table, moved into her lap. Her makeup didn't change. Her hair didn't change. But the woman inside, the shape of Katrina Whitmore Ellis, became, for the first time in front of another being, visible. She was 38 years old. She was alone, and she had given her best years to a competition the woman across the table had never entered. And after a long moment, she quietly said, "No." "What?" "No, AJ. It didn't work." "Say the rest of it, Kat." She closed her eyes. "I have nothing. I have nothing of yours. I have nothing of mine. I have nothing." A long silence. AJ said, finally, very softly, "You never had what I have, Kat. You never would have. Not because of your face, not because of your waist, not because of your school. You never had what I have because you have spent your entire life performing the woman you wanted people to see. And I have spent my entire life being the woman my people already loved. We were never running the same race. We weren't even on the same track. You spent 3.5 years trying to down a woman who didn't know she was in a fight. You wasted your one wild, precious life on me. And that's the part that should haunt you, not what I'm about to do. AJ, what you're going to do, Kat, is you're going to leave this coffee shop. You're going to go home. You are not going to text me. You are not going to call me. You are not going to post about me, comment on my pages, message anyone in my family, or speak my name in a professional setting. You're going to delete my number. You're going to leave the Mahogany Society quietly with a polite resignation letter because you and I are not going to be in the same rooms anymore. And if we end up in the same room, you will turn around and you will walk out of it. As for Brent, the package on his desk Monday morning will not be for me. It will be for Marisol. Your name will not be on it. I'm not going to ruin your career. That's your job. You will ruin it on your own eventually, the way you ruin everything that you touch, because you cannot help yourself. But let me make one thing very, very clear. If you ever, and I mean ever, come near my niece, if you ever speak to my mother, if you ever look at my grandmother, I will end your career with a single phone call to your firm. I have the receipts, the timestamps, the metadata. I have a copy of everything on your phone, including the message thread where Lena described what she was going to do to my niece if she could get custody. I have a friend who's a lawyer, and she is just waiting for an excuse. Do you understand me, Kat? Yes. Repeat what I said. AJ, please, repeat what I said. Kat repeated what she said. Good. Stand up. Kat stood up. Get your purse and leave. Kat grabbed her purse and left. AJ sat in the back of the coffee shop for another 40 minutes after she was gone. She drank her coffee. She watched two college students argue over a textbook at the table by the window. She watched a man propose to a woman quietly in front of a line. A small ring, small smile, a small yes. And she felt a small, quiet warmth in her chest that she had not let herself feel since Vegas. She paid her tab. She tipped $20 on the $4 coffee. Then she got in her car and drove to Elijah's. He opened the door without a word. He saw her face. He pulled her inside, sat her down at the table, and made her a plate. She ate quietly, didn't speak for an hour. And he didn't ask her to. Sage came in at some point and sat across from her and ate a piece of bread and didn't ask her any questions either, because Sage understood that some people just needed quiet. When AJ finally spoke around 5 p.m., she said, I did it. I know. How? I knew when you sat down. She put her face in her hands. He came around the table and stood behind her and put both hands on her shoulders, and he held her there for a long time without saying anything. Sage went back to the living room and turned on a movie. Outside the window, the sun went down. Chapter 3. Quiet Wars. She delivered the Brent file on Tuesday morning. She didn't make an appointment. She just walked it down the hall at 9 a.m., a printed binder with 87 pages and an executive summary on top. She set it on Marisol's desk and sat down across from her without being asked. Open it. Marisol opened it, and she read for 11 minutes. AJ sat across from her with her hands in her lap and didn't speak. Marisol's face was stone. She didn't flinch. She just continued to read. At minute 9, Marisol's mouth moved a quarter inch in one corner. At minute 11, she closed the binder, and she put both hands flat on top of it. Sinclair, yes, this is the cleanest file I've ever seen in my life. Thank you. How long have you been keeping this? 11 months. You did not tell me how much you had. You told me to keep building. I built. You did. Lord, you did. She tapped the binder once. What do you want? I want him moved. I don't want him fired. I don't want a meeting. I don't want an HR investigation. I don't want a story. I want him quietly transferred to a different team at a different floor in a different practice area. And I want him to know in a way that does not embarrass anyone. The partners read his email about Sherwin Williams. And I want you to know when you walk into the committee meeting in March that I did not need this to make partner. I'm going to make partner because I have earned it. This is so you know what you're choosing if and when you decide to choose him. Marisol looked at her for a long moment. You're not asking me to use it. I'm asking you to have it. Use it if you need to, or don't. It's yours. You really don't want him to burn. I want me to make partner. I want him to not be in my path. I don't need him to burn. That's God's job, not mine. Marisol laughed for the first time AJ had ever heard. It was a short, surprised laugh. Sinclair, you are a menace. So I have been told. Get out of my office, go close that Detroit deal. I'll handle Brent. AJ left. Brent was transferred 2 weeks later. He was given a senior associate role on the Midwest infrastructure team 3 floors down. In an office without a lake view, he did not know what he had been protected from. He never would. He sent AJ an email on the day of the transfer that said, Congrats on the move. Let's stay in touch. AJ did not respond. The partner committee voted in March. AJ Sinclair made partner. She was the youngest in her class. She was the first Black woman partner in her firm's 170-year history. Marisol took her for coffee that Friday after. Not a celebration, not a meeting. She walked into AJ's office at 4:30 in the afternoon, closed the laptop on AJ's desk, and said, Sinclair, coat on, we're going. They walked 4 blocks to a coffee shop neither of them had ever been to before. A small one on Euclid, bad lighting, but decent espresso. Marisol ordered a double. AJ ordered a chamomile because her stomach had been in a fist for 3 days and she wanted something soft. They sat by the window for a long period of time. Marisol didn't speak. And then she said, I'm going to tell you something I have never told anyone at the firm. When I made partner in '08, I did it the same year my husband left me. Same month, actually. The week after the committee voted, he came home from work and told me he had been seeing another woman for 14 months and he wanted out. I didn't tell anyone at the office. I came in every morning, I closed the deals, I built the team. Nobody at this firm has ever known in 17 years that I made partner with a hole in my chest the size of a fist. Marisol, let me finish, mija. I did that alone because there was nobody at the firm who looked like me. There was nobody at the firm I could tell. There was nobody who would have understood what it cost me to keep my voice level in client meetings for the next 12 months. So I went home at night and I cried on the floor of a kitchen nobody in this city has ever stood in. And I made partner and I survived and I built the path you just walked on. And I'm so glad you did not have to walk it the way I did. Do you hear me? I hear you. You do not have to do this alone. And you are not going to do the next part alone either. You're going to mentor Aisha. You're going to mentor the one after her. You're going to be the woman in the next woman's office. And every Black woman who comes through this firm for the next 20 years is going to walk a path that gets a little shorter because you walked it. Are you with me? I'm with you, Marisol. Good. Now drink your tea, baby. Your stomach is in your throat. AJ laughed. Then she drank her tea. And then they sat by the window for almost an hour. Two women in good suits talking about nothing in particular, while outside the city did what the city did on a Friday afternoon in March. Aisha, 26 years old, 3 years into her career, watched the whole partnership process happen from the sidelines and learned in real time every step. AJ promoted her to her own associate the following month. On Aisha's first day as her associate, AJ told her in the elevator, "Take notes, baby. Quiet women win wars. And the women who watched us win are watching you. So you have to win quietly too." Do you hear me? I hear you, AJ. Good. Now let's go to work. Vivian came over on a Tuesday in April. She brought a coconut cake. She had baked it from scratch. The recipe her own mother had given her, the one Vivian only made when something mattered. She set it on AJ's island. She didn't take her coat off. "Mama, sit down. Maybe I need to say something first." AJ stopped slicing onions, and she set her knife down on the cutting board. "Okay." Vivian put both her hands on the marble counter. She looked at her hands for a long moment. When she looked up, her eyes were wet, but her face was very still. "I sat down on you, Janabug." AJ didn't move. "I sat down on my own child. I sat down on you because I was trying to keep this family at one table, and I told myself I was doing it for everybody. And that was a lie. I was doing it because I could not stand the thought of losing a daughter, either of you. And I knew the only daughter who would let me keep the table was you. So I asked you to carry it. I knew I was asking. I knew what I was asking. And I asked it anyway. Every Sunday for a year, I asked, and you carried it because you love me. And because you have always been the strongest one in this house. And because nobody, including me, ever offered to take it off of you. Vivian's voice broke once and held. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. I sat down on you. I see it now. I've been seeing it for months, and I should have said this a long time ago." AJ didn't speak. She walked around the kitchen island, and she put her arms around her mother. And Vivian's shoulders softened against her. That softening only mothers do when they finally let a daughter carry them, even if it's just for a minute. "Mama, yes, I love you." "Oh, baby, I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen. I know. And I'm not asking you to undo it. I know. But you stood up just now. You hear me? You stood all the way up, so we're going to keep cooking. And they kept cooking. The coconut cake sat on the counter through dinner. They cut it for dessert. Charlie ate 2 pieces. Vivian, watching her granddaughter eat the cake of her own mother's recipe, finally let herself cry. A few clean tears, the way a grown woman cries when somebody has finally taken something off of her. AJ did not look at her crying. She let her mother have it. She went and refilled her wine glass, and that was the night. Chapter 4. The Slow Doors. Jules came over in May. She had asked him to. She had wanted to do this in person. She did not want to do it on a balcony or in a car or at a play. They had done too much of that song and dance. She did not want it to feel like a moment she had staged or managed. She wanted to look him in the face and tell him the truth. He came at 7. He brought a bottle of wine he knew she liked, and he sat on her couch, and she sat across from him in the chair. And then she told him. She told him about Elijah, the bookstore, and about a year of Tuesdays. She talked about Sage and about how it happened slowly and quietly, the way real things happen. She told him she loved him as a person, that he had been one of the kindest men she had ever known, that he had shown up when nobody had asked him to, that the year of the wedding planning would have broken her without him, that she would always, always know what he had done for her. But she could not love him the way that he had loved her. She told him she was sorry, not for him. She had nothing to apologize for, and she said so, but for the version of the universe in which she had not met Elijah first. That version, she said, owed him an apology. Jules listened. He didn't interrupt. When she was done, he set his wine glass down on the coffee table very carefully, and he looked at his hands. AJ, yeah? Thank you for telling me yourself. Of course. Most people would have ghosted. You're not most people. He nodded slowly, and he cleared his throat. His eyes were wet at the rim, but he was not crying. Can I ask you one question? Of course. Is he good to you? She thought about it for a long second. He's the kind of good that doesn't perform. And he's the kind of good that shows up without being asked. He's the kind of good that knows when to be quiet, when to speak, when to move, when to love, when to hug. He he just knows, Jules. Then he's the right one. Jules, listen to me, AJ. You don't owe me an explanation. You don't owe me a man I'd approve of, and you don't owe me anything. I'm a grown man. I'll be sad for a minute. I'll come out the other side. I'd like to, at some point when the dust settles, be your friend again. Not soon, but eventually, if that's something you can hold. I can hold it, Jules. Good. He stood up. He smiled. Small, real, the way he had always smiled. And he hugged her at the door. He said into the top of her hair, he's a lucky man, AJ. I hope he knows. He left. She closed the door and pressed her forehead against it. She cried quietly for about 3 minutes. Then she went into her kitchen and heated up some leftover greens from Sunday. And she ate them standing at the island. And she felt clearly, completely, without anything underneath it, clean. She had handled them all, from Kat to Lena to Brent, and now Jules. Everything. She was clean. She was, for the first time in her adult life, clean. Chapter 5. The Ring. Lena knocked on her door in July. AJ answered. Lena on the welcome mat in a t-shirt and old jeans. Clothes AJ had not seen on her sister since they were teenagers. Her hair was in a bun. She had on no makeup, and her eyes were swollen. Can I come in, please? You can come in. Lena sat on the bar stool. She put both hands on the counter. She didn't look up. AJ? Lena? He started saying things to me about my body, about my friends, about the way I dress. He told me last week that I need to get back to fighting weight before the firm's anniversary gala. He used those words. Fighting weight. I'm a size 4, AJ. I lost 6 pounds on the honeymoon and he asked me if I was finally serious. I, Lena, I think I made a mistake. Yes. Lena, don't. Don't ask me to tell you you didn't. I'm not going to. I'm not going to do that work for you. Lena nodded. Tears were sliding down her face, and she did not wipe them. What do I do? I don't know, Lena. I'm not your therapist. AJ, I'm not. I love you. I will always love you because you are my mother's daughter and my father's daughter and my grandmother's daughter and Charlie's mama. And there is a kind of love that does not do itself even when everything gets undone. So I love you, but I will not tell you what to do. I will not be the woman who carries you out of the marriage you walked into when you took something that was supposedly mine. You will carry yourself out or you will carry yourself further. That part is yours. AJ, I will tell you what I can do. I can pour you a cup of tea. I can sit with you for an hour. I can call mama when you leave and tell her you came over and that you're not okay. I can, if you decide to leave him, be a witness to the fact that you chose yourself eventually. Not all the way back, but a piece at a time. I can give you the kind of door that opens slowly. Do you understand what I'm telling you? I think so. Then sit, and I'll make you some tea. She made her some tea, and they sat at the bar for an hour. Lena cried off and on quietly. AJ didn't. They did not talk about Andre after the first 10 minutes. They talked about Charlie. They talked about Mama. They talked about Granny Ida and her cable bill. They talked about Devin and Keita's small courthouse wedding in June. Lena had not been invited, and AJ told her about it. Keita had worn ivory. Imani had been the ring bearer and a tiny pair of patent leather Mary Janes. Marcus Sr. had cried, and Granny Eyed had stayed dried-eyed and then cried in the car afterward. Because I'll be damned if I let that boy see me cry. He'd never recover. Lena laughed, a small, wet laugh at the Granny Ida line. When she stood up at 4:30, AJ walked her to the door. She did not hug her or kiss her. She did, at the threshold, put a hand briefly on her sister's elbow. Lena. Yeah, get a therapist. Get a lawyer. Don't get them in that order. Get the lawyer first. AJ, just in case. Lena nodded, and she left. AJ closed the door. She leaned her back against it, and she closed her eyes. She felt, for a minute, a feeling that she couldn't exactly name, something like the small of grief for being right about something you had not wanted to be right about. She let herself sit in that for a moment, and then she called her mother. The rest of the year was the quietest year of AJ's entire adult life. She made partner, mentored Aisha, closed a deal in Detroit and another in Pittsburgh, and one in Chicago that the firm would talk about for a decade. She published a piece in HBR and another in Sloan Review. She slept 7 hours a night for the first time in over a decade. She moved Charlie's bedroom into her larger desk room. She bought Charlie a real bed with a real bookshelf, and she painted the walls a quiet green that Charlie had picked because Sage's room was painted the same color. And she made it clear to Charlie, without making it a meeting, that this was her room now. And Charlie understood. Lena filed for divorce in October. The lawyer AJ had recommended took her case. Andre fought it badly. The proceedings were ugly. Lena's makeup got smaller and smaller. Her clothes got softer. Her presence at Sunday dinner. She came back slowly on the Sundays that Vivian invited her to specifically, never alongside the rest of the family at first. Got quieter. Granny Ida didn't speak to her for the first 4 Sundays. By the fifth Sunday, Granny looked at her across the table during dessert and said, "Lena, baby, eat your sweet potatoes." That was the first thing Granny had said to Lena in 18 months. Lena cried into her sweet potatoes. Granny Ida did not acknowledge it. She just simply said, "Eat, before your mama thinks you don't like 'em." Jasmine came back after a 3-month travel nurse contract in Hawaii that autumn. She was tanner, louder, and engaged to a Cleveland-born surgeon she had been hiding from the family for 2 years. "I wasn't going to bring him around until I knew," Jasmine said, when Vivian demanded an explanation. "And now I know." Vivian cried. Granny Ida demanded to see a photograph and then demanded to know what church his people belonged to. And Marcus Sr. asked for a beer with him within the week. Jasmine was the first sibling to forgive Lena. The twins had been built into each other in their mother's wombs. So whatever Jasmine had felt about her sister's betrayal had warred against her own deeper instinct. And the deeper instinct had won. And the way it always did with twins. Jasmine showed up at Lena's townhouse on a Wednesday night in December with 2 bottles of red, a foil pan of mac and cheese their mother had sent over, and a stack of bridal magazines she wanted Lena's opinion on for her own wedding. She let herself in with the key, and she set the food down on the counter. She looked at her twin, who was at the kitchen island in pajama pants and a hoodie, hair in a satin bonnet, and she said, "Lena, Jazz, I came to talk to you." "Okay." "I'm not going to sit here and pretend I have forgiven you. I haven't. Not all the way. I might not all the way for a long time. But I came over here tonight to tell you one thing. And then I came to drink wine and look at dresses. And I came so you would know that you do not get to sit in this townhouse alone on a Wednesday night feeling sorry for yourself while I am 4 miles away. Do you hear me?" "Jess, you and I came out of Mama 3 minutes apart. You went first. You always go first. Everything you do next to me. You did what you did to AJ next to me. I felt every minute of it. I sat at the table next to you on those Sundays, and I knew, deep down, I knew, and I did not say a word, not one word. So I'm not the sister who gets to walk away from you in this fire. I am the sister who has come to stand in it with you because we have been standing in everything together since the womb. Do you hear me?" Lena's eyes filled up. "You can't be in this alone, Lena. Not while I'm alive." She crossed the kitchen, wrapped her sister in a hug that was full body, no half measure. Lena sobbed into Jasmine's neck for a long time. Jasmine rubbed her back the way her mother had rubbed their backs since they were 2 days old. When Lena was done, Jasmine pulled back and wiped Lena's face with her own thumb. "Now, open the wine. Help me pick out a wedding dress because I am not getting married in some white lady chiffon situation. I'm too curvy for that energy. Mhm. And you used to be good at this before you lost your damn mind." Lena laughed, a hearty, full laugh, for the first time in 3 months. They stayed up until 2 in the morning. After that, Jasmine came every Wednesday, and Lena was no longer alone. Devin and Keita welcomed a baby in November, a little boy named Marcus, because Devin had said, "There is no version of my life where I do not put my father's name on a son." And Marcus Sr. had wept on the phone. Imani was 2, and she was finally talking. Imani called her baby brother Marcus. She called AJ Auntie J, and Imani called Charlie Carrie. Imani was the warmest small person in the whole world. Marcus Jr. and Simone bought the house next door to their parents when the elderly couple who had lived there for 40 years moved into assisted living. Jay was 9 now, and Trey was 4. Trey had taken to following his grandfather around the backyard at a small toolbox and asking him to teach him how to be a man, Papa. And Marcus Sr. could not, in fact, handle it. Marcus Sr., he handled it though, by crying in the kitchen on Sunday. And he told Vivian, maybe that child is going to break me. Vivian said, he already has, baby. Charlie had begun at 9 to ask the kinds of questions a child only asks when she has decided she is safe enough to ask them. It was a Saturday morning in January. AJ was at the kitchen island doing Charlie's hair, cornrows, 4 of them, with small clear beads at the end. Charlie had picked them out at a Sally's because she said, Mama J, I want something that clicks when I move. AJ had a little metal tin of grease open by her elbow. Charlie was sitting on the high stool with her back to her. Jay had her hands in her niece's hair, parting and twisting the way she had been doing for 6 years now. Mama J, mm-hmm. Did my mama want to be a mama? The grease tin clicked softly against the marble. AJ kept her hands moving. She did not stop the braid. She did not change her voice. I think your mama wanted a lot of things, baby. Did she want me? Charlie, look at me a second. Charlie turned her head. AJ took her chin between her thumb and forefinger and held it gently, the way Vivian held AJ's chin 1,000 times growing up. Your mama had you when she was 28 years old. Your mama was very young, and your mama was not all the way grown when she made you. But the day you came into this world, baby, the day you came into this world, your grandmother and I were in the room with her. We all held you, and there wasn't a single woman in that hospital who didn't want you. Do you hear me? Yes, ma'am. Your mama is finding her way back to herself, baby. That is not a fast trip. She'll get there. And whatever she finds at the end of the road, you are not the reason why she got lost on it. Do you hear what I'm saying? Yes, ma'am. Very good. Charlie held her gaze a little longer. Mama J? Yeah, baby. I'm glad you're here. I am here. I will be here. I will always be here. AJ let go of her chin. She picked up the next section of hair and she kept braiding. Outside the window, the snow over the river caught the morning sun and turned a pale gold. Charlie clicked her beads against the counter on purpose, just to hear them. Elijah came to Sunday dinner for the first time at the end of August. He had been to Tuesday dinners at his parents' house separately, just him and AJ and her parents, for about 3 months now. Marcus Sr. had taken him out for a beer twice. Vivian had added an extra plate at Tuesdays without ever asking. Granny Ida had not met him yet. Granny had been waiting, and Granny had made it clear that the meeting would happen on her terms. The terms were Sunday. When Elijah walked into the house with Sage and AJ, Sage was 10 now, in a yellow dress, holding a small bouquet of grocery store carnations for the host. Granny was at the head of the table in her good earrings. She watched the 3 of them come in. She watched Elijah set the carnations down in front of Vivian. She watched him shake Marcus Sr.'s hand. She watched him say grace at the table when Marcus Sr. asked him to, because Marcus Sr. had asked him on purpose. She watched him eat. She did not speak to him for the first 28 minutes. Then halfway through the macaroni, Elijah had asked for seconds, which was a small but specific test he was not aware he had passed. And Granny Ida pointed her fork at him. You. Yes, ma'am. Tell me something. Yes, ma'am. What would you have done if AJ had been engaged to that other one when you met her. The table got quiet, very quiet. Elijah set his fork down. He thought about the question for a second. He didn't perform thinking. He actually thought. I would have closed the door at 6 instead of 9 on Saturdays. I would have stopped restocking the Baldwin shelf because I knew she was the one buying him out. And I would have stopped looking up when the bell over the door rang. I would have told my daughter when she asked about her that she was a friend who used to come in. And I would have grieved her without telling her I did. And I would have wished her well from a distance for the rest of my life. Granny had to put her fork down. Mm. She looked at Vivian. Vivian looked at her. And she looked at Marcus. And Marcus looked at her. And the whole table waited. Viv? Yes, Mama. This one stays. Vivian smiled. Marcus smiled. And AJ closed her eyes for a long, slow second. Sage, 10 years old, sitting next to her father, looked up at the matriarch and said very politely, "Thank you, Granny Ida." And Granny Ida looked at her. The hard little face cracked. "Sage, baby?" "Yes, ma'am." "You come sit by me." Sage got up. Sage walked the length of the table and sat down in Charlie's chair because Charlie, already wise beyond her years, had moved to make room. Granny Ida put her arm around Sage, and she fed her a piece of cornbread off her own plate. That was the night the table had 14 seats again. Elijah proposed on a Sunday morning in late February of the following year. He didn't plan a spectacle. He did not get on a knee on a bench or a rooftop in front of a fountain in a hotel in another city. He did nothing grand. He thought about it for 9 months. He had asked Marcus Sr. for a beer in November, the second time he'd taken Marcus out for a beer, and this was longer. And Marcus Sr. had said slowly, "Son, you take care of my little girl." "Yes, sir." Then Marcus Sr. said, "Then yes, you have my blessing. You ask her when you're ready." Elijah had been ready in December. He wanted to wait 2 months to be sure. The morning he proposed, AJ woke up at his place. Saturday, late morning, quiet light. The girls had stayed up too late the night before doing each other's hair on the living room floor and were going to be in pajamas until noon. AJ came into the kitchen in one of Elijah's t-shirts and her own leggings. The girls were already at the kitchen table. Sage and Charlie both had on serious faces. They both looked up when AJ came in, and they were holding a piece of cardstock between them, a homemade card decorated with colored pencils and glitter glue, which made AJ realize as she got closer that it had been made by both of them, taking turns, the way they made everything now. Elijah was leaning in the doorway between the kitchen and the living room. He had a cup of coffee in one hand, and he was watching her. Sage held out the card. "Miss AJ, we made this for you." AJ took the card. Charlie was holding her breath. AJ knew, without opening it, that her whole life was about to change. She opened it. The front of the card said, in Sage's careful handwriting, "AJ." The inside, in both their handwriting, Sage's longer pen strokes and Charlie's smaller, neater ones, alternating line by line, said, "Will you marry our daddy and be our family forever and ever? Even on the bad days, we already love you. We already do." At the bottom, both their signatures. AJ pressed the card against her chest. She looked up. Elijah set his coffee down on the counter. He walked across the kitchen. He took her hand, and he asked her once, a year ago in passing, whether she liked kneeling, and she said no. She said, "I want a man to stand up when he marries me." So he stood, and he put the ring on her finger. The ring was a small, deep, oval-cut emerald, not a diamond, because Elijah had remembered from a conversation in his kitchen 11 months ago that AJ had said she never wanted a diamond. Granny Ida's ring had been an emerald. AJ's grandfather had given Granny Ida that ring in 1964. That ring was a symbol of his love. To him, Ida was the most beautiful woman in the world, and Marcus Sr. has been 6 years old, watching his father do the bravest thing he had ever seen a man do. AJ had told Elijah the story once, but he remembered. She looked at him. Elijah. AJ. Yes. Yeah. Yes. He pulled her into him. Sage and Charlie erupted. Sudden, loud, both of them screaming and jumping and grabbing each other in a way that was a very, very 8-year-old and 10-year-old thing to do. Elijah laughed at the top of AJ's hair, and AJ laughed too. And the girls climbed up into their arms, all four of them, happy, screaming, crying, and laughing together. The morning sun came in over the river, and the city got quiet outside. Then Sage said breathlessly into AJ's neck, "Okay, now do we get to call you Mama?" AJ couldn't speak for a second. AJ said calmly, very clearly, "Sage, she's always been Mama. Just now it's out loud." Then AJ cried. Everybody cried. Again. Even Elijah for a second, although he would deny it later. The Sunday dinner 2 weeks later was the largest the Sinclair house had ever had. The table had been extended with a folding section, the way Vivian had to extend it whenever she needed to. 16 seats. Vivian at one, Marcus Sr. at the other, Ida, Marcus Jr., Simone, Jay, Trey, Devin, Keita, Imani, baby Marcus, Jasmine and her surgeon, Darius, invited every Sunday now. No one asking, no debate. AJ and Elijah sitting next to each other, AJ's left hand on the table where the emerald could catch the light. Charlie and Sage shoulder to shoulder in matching outfits because they had been planning this all week. And Lena, with Jasmine seated beside her. The divorce was finalized in January. She had moved into a small townhouse her father had helped her find. She was attending Sunday dinners every other week now, quietly, without the performance, in soft clothes, and Jasmine always close by her like a hand on a back. She had not yet been forgiven by everyone at the table. She had not asked to be. She was simply present. She had brought a green bean casserole that was almost as good as her mother's. And Vivian had said, "Baby, that's not bad." And Lena had taken it as the gift it was. Marcus Sr. stood up. He held out his hands and led the table in prayer. "Father God," the table quieted, "we thank you for this food. We thank you for this family. We thank you for the chairs that are filled, including the new ones. We thank you for the chairs that came back. We thank you for the babies in this house, the ones at the table, the ones in the high chairs, and the ones who are coming. We thank you for Trey, who told me yesterday he wants to be an electrician and a fireman. And I told him that was fine because he had two grandfathers and he could be both. We thank you for our Imani, who has decided this week her name is Princess. And we thank you for our Marcus, who is named for a fool who only sometimes deserved it." Devin laughed, and Imani slapped the table. "We thank you for the friends who are family. We thank you for the daughters and the sons and the husbands and the wives and the partners. Yes, Lord, our Dana Bug made partner. You knew, but I am telling you again because I am so proud I could pop." The table laughed. "And Lord, we thank you for the woman in this house who has, for 2 years now, been standing. My mother told her to stand. She said, 'You stand all the way up.' And my child, she stood all the way up. She stood through the worst year of her life. She stood through when nobody at this table could have asked her to. And she stood when she had every reason to fold. She stood, Lord, when even her mother sat down. And now, Lord, finally, we thank you because she does not have to stand alone anymore. You sent her a man. You sent her a man who knows what she is. You sent her a man who can carry it with her. Bless Elijah, bless Sage, bless this engagement, bless this house, bless every chair at this table, the ones that are filled and the ones we are still saving. And Lord, bless Lena for making sure her family and her worth meant more than a man. Lena looked up. Cover us, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen. The table said amen. And then Granny Ida said amen the loudest. Lord, you took your time, but you showed up. Vivian laughed. So did Marcus Sr., Charlie, Sage, and Lena after a beat laughed too. AJ looked across the table at her grandmother. Granny Ida looked back. And then Granny Ida winked, and AJ winked back. The macaroni came out of the oven. Devin opened a bottle of his father's bourbon. Trey fell off his chair. Imani decreed that she would not be eating carrots. A princess does not eat carrots, Mommy. Sage and Charlie fed each other pieces of cornbread off the same plate. Elena Jana Sinclair, a.k.a. Jana Bud, Mama J, Auntie J, partner, daughter, sister, granddaughter, fiance, sat at the table where she had been raised. She looked around, she closed her eyes for a moment, and she thought, yes, all of this, all of it, yes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of AJ Sinclair, a woman who spent years being asked in 100 quiet ways to make herself smaller until she finally decided she would not fold one more inch. AJ never had to find her worth at the end of the story. She always had it. She just had to remember it. If her story stayed with you, don't leave the table yet. Subscribe to Echoes of Us and come join the family because there is always another life, another secret, and another story waiting to be told. And I want to hear from you. Okay. What moment stayed with you the most? Was it the confrontation between Lena and her sister in Vegas? Or was it that nasty read that AJ gave to Kat? Was it when her mother came to her to apologize and tell her that she was wrong for how she handled the situation between her and her sister? Whatever moment resonated with you the most, comment in the comment section below and let me know what you think. Also, I may have a few irons in the fire when it comes to the Sinclair family. So you tell me where you want to go next. Do you want to look at Jules and see where his love life is heading? Do you want to look at Darius? Or how about Tony? Tony's a character that was in the background, but she wasn't at the forefront. What about Granny Ida and her old school loving ways? What about Lena and her sister Jasmine? We know Jasmine has a secret engagement. Maybe we should explore that. There's a lot to explore in the Sinclair family. And of course, I got the tea if you want it. Like I said, comment in the comment section below and let me know what you think. And last but not least, let me know if you team Jules or if you're team Elijah. Were you happy that she chose Elijah or were you thinking that she should have chose Jules? Comment in the comment section below. Let me know because I'm going to be reading all of the comments. I really want to know your input. Let me know what I need to change. Do you think the story was good? Do you think it was bad? Whatever. I'm all for good constructive criticism. I really am. Now, until next time, thank you for sitting at the table with me. This has been Echoes of Us. Take care of yourselves and go stand all the way up. Love you. Bye.